And hello, you absolute lovelies. We are back. Stranger Things Season 5, Episode 5, full spoiler review for that episode, and what an episode it was. I was really curious with the release model whether this would feel like 3 individual movies, because the third release is 2 hours and 8 minutes. I was really curious if this first episode back would feel like a first act, but no, this definitely felt like an episode 5. This episode had so much. We had revelations, we had great character arc payoffs, we had lots and lots of action, and all of it feels like it built to another beautiful cliffhanger. And again, I always wish things were week to week because I would love to discuss this on its own, but let's dive into this episode and then tune in a little bit for next episode 6. If you're new to this page, please hit that subscription bell. I cover movies, I cover TV, I cover comics. I love stuff in the genre space. This episode was very sorcerer heavy. Obviously, we're leaning back heavily into the D&D stuff. I thought they'd do that as a bookend of the series, doing it pretty well in this episode, but I love nerd stuff. So if you like nerdy things, please hit that subscription bell. Also, like this video, it helps the algorithm, and most of all, let me know in the comments what you thought of this first Christmas episode. I've had this sweater for 7 years. I never thought there'd be a release of Stranger Things on Christmas, but fate was on my side. Now I get to wear this for work. All right, so let's talk about episode 5. This episode was what I've been waiting for with Dustin and Steve. This episode was what I've been waiting for with Winona Ryder and her son Will. Obviously not her name, but I really think this episode was also, and most importantly, what I've been waiting for as a revelation for Vecna. Now, full spoilers, I didn't know if it'd be as direct as we ended up finding out. I also didn't think it would happen this early. I thought this was going to be like in the movie reveal, but to have confirmation that Vecna is the reason, the why, the how, the everything for 11 and all of these other experimented on kids, and that being something that led to other horrible experiments and the half-life of that, right? Now, it turned 8 into who she was, but 8 then couldn't turn other pregnant women into vessels in the urge to make this dark magic kind of child thing. But the experiments we've seen all 5 seasons, the grossness, the terror of actually using children in this way. We've had kids be tortured and manipulated and just all awfulness in all the seasons, but there's something really dark about seeing pregnant women, an endless array, an unknown number of pregnant women be experimented on. There's something so horrible about just the levels of depravity in that. So that revelation was crazy. I love that we got 8 and we actually turned that into a plot point. At the end of this last batch, we had 8 revealed and it was a big moment. That one episode she was in episode 3, is one of the, I think, least liked episodes of the show. It obviously has its defenders. I didn't have a problem with it. I like the mall energy it came, but I think everyone, including me, was surprised 8 was going to be so important to Vecna. I really like that detail there. I also really like Vecna's acting here. Seeing Jamie Campbell Bower as both Mr. Whatsit and Vecna back to back in all these different forms, the manipulation into the psychiatry form, all of that really worked for me. And this episode, directed by Frank Darabont, an absolute genius. If you haven't seen The Mist, please do so. Lots of other great work as well. Great Stephen King adapter, and you can obviously feel the Stephen King DNA in this show. It's really interesting because they've got Linda Hamilton, who's obviously a staple of the 80s with Terminator and things. They've had each season with Paul Reiser, with all these classic staples of 80s acting. It's really interesting to see a director known for Stephen King work, the other side of this, very 80s horror, very Stephen King, but it's cool to see a director of this style of stuff the Duffer Brothers were playing with as the director of this episode, and you really felt that. This episode, in addition to the acting, I think, being strong, was the energy of Haunted House. The Haunted House energy in this episode, I think, is the best Haunted House flavor we've had in a little while. Every set felt like a different haunted house. The melting stuff especially, that cliffhanger obviously we're about to have, but all of the melting world stuff felt like you're going through a haunted house with, like, you know, the soldiers coming through. And I've always thought of this world as a haunted house set, maybe because I love this Stranger Things haunted house stuff they do at Universal, but this episode in particular, whether it was the, you know, utopian angelic world the kids are trapped in, that felt like a haunted house in its own way. Whether it's the fight with Steve and Dustin, that felt like it's a different haunted house than the melted stuff. The upside down that we're seeing specifically Hopper and 11 trapped in with the church setting, that feels like a haunted house. All of this has a really unique 80s horror sci-fi setting, and I really love Darabont's use of like the Z-axis, right? We've got, you know, these disparate rooms with energy going this way and the scene work going this way, but also this way, and using portals at angles that aren't parallel, they're perpendicular, and the way that morphs the mind, and then also using the z-axis, right? X, Y, Z. It's really cool to have that directing play into Haunted House world. So I really dug the directing in this episode. What else did I really want to hit on? The Dustin and Steve Harrington fight is so painful because you love both these characters. Two of my favorite characters personally. And the way they navigated the brutality of what they had to say, because these guys love each other. Like, I think if either one of them dies, they both die. That's been a thing in the series. Like, if you go, I go. Like, I forget the actual quote, but I worry because they are so close, because they do love each other. And this hurts so much more because of that. They know what to say to hurt the other one. And that stuff about Eddie is brutal, but, they know how to hit the things, and they're both hurt by each other. So, man, what an episode there. Winona Ryder's arc. I really, really love Nancy. I think that's her name. I'm so sorry. There's a lot of characters. I love this show, but I definitely, in the gaps between, need to remember character names. I love that Winona Ryder's character is getting the moment where we've seen, especially this season, every season, but especially season 5, her not believing in Will, and the turnaround. Again, something I thought would happen in the third act of the show, happening a little earlier on. I love that she went from like, no, you're a little baby, I'll keep you precious, to like, you got to be the one that kills him, I trust you, I love you. I really like that. This episode, I also like Will a little bit more. The character of Will, I liked more in this episode. I had said at the end of my last review, I was worried about the show. That's an ensemble of characters I like, focusing a lot on one of the characters I don't like so much, which is Will. And this episode, I think he did great. I think the character did really good work. I think I'm curious more than I expected. I think the badass moments were really badass. I think they actually worked for me better than the cliffhanger. Cliffhanger was more moments that were intentionally badass. It was much more of a big ending for that arc. But this episode, I loved the little nuances. I loved the performance of the control and manipulation. I loved the fight in the mind of Vecna and Jamie Campbell Bower pushing him out. But like the way the bones breaking and all of that felt so visceral, and like you really felt like you were in his head. I really dug. And a surprise MVP of this episode, I thought, again, third act. All of the things in this episode that happened, I thought would be third act, and instead they're late second. I thought the Derek triumph would be right before he dies, and I thought it'd be in like the last episode of this block before we got to the big 2-hour finale. And delightful Derek / dipshit Derek. Dipshit Derek shone through. I knew he'd get an endearing like redemption. I think he'll get another one, but I did not expect one in this episode. I loved the stuff with Max. I loved the stuff of him like manipulating the system and being the hero, and also like the moments of him, actually being the dude that saves everyone felt earned, and his speech was great. So I really dug all of that. Great to see Max. She's incredible. I really like the team up of her and the main girl that led us through the fantastical fantasy stuff, being the guide along with Max in these episodes, was so great, because the use of like fantasy imagery, like going through the doorway into nothing, and the cloak, and this innocent fields and brightness and all this stuff ties beautifully into D&D and sorcery. I know very little about D&D, but that energy, that fantasy energy, is great, which brings us to the finale. I've been waiting for the proposal. I'm glad it didn't happen while they were fighting. I was afraid it was gonna. Now we've got them together. I've been waiting for Maya Hawke to get a little bit more of her spunk, and that also happened this episode, but I think I'm now really worried for the pair of them, because obviously that's what, we wanted to feel, like Dustin's saying, like, we're all dead if you shoot this thing. But I do worry about their safety more in the finale than I have in the past. And I really like that we haven't had the proposal yet. And I really like that they're the two that are maybe causing whatever's going to happen in the next episode, which brings us to the next episode. I'll be back in just a little while. I think I'm going to review episode 6 tonight. I might do the last episode of this block, episode 7. So the third of this chunk in the morning, because I'd like to have some of my Christmas. It's 5 o'clock at Christmas. I finished unwrapping a Zoom my family, jumped right into Stranger Things. I'd like to have some Christmas. So I might do that one tomorrow, or it might drop first thing in the morning. Either way, I don't think that's going to happen late tonight, because it's like 1 a.m. Eastern time. So I'll be back for the next episode right here, and then the following one in the morning most likely. So please hit that subscription bell. Let me know what you thought of episode 5. I really, really liked 5. 5's probably my first or second favorite episode this season. I'd have to look at them all, but this episode really got me. I love the ensemble. I love the acting. I love the way they navigated this bevy of characters. I loved the directing. Solid stuff. Really dug this episode. Let me know what you thought in the comments below. Please like this video for the old algorithm. And please, if you're not subscribed, you stayed for me with this whole video, so you might like what I have to say for other stuff too. Hit that subscription bell. I appreciate you. I'll see you in like half an hour or so for the next one. Maybe less, maybe more. All right, bye y'all. See you soon. Stranger Things.